Biology with Dr. E.
So what is a cell? A cell is defined as the smallest structural and functional unit of living things. In a human body, there are about 50 to 100 trillion cells. And according to the cell theory, all living organisms are made up of one or more cells. And typically, these cells arise from different cells. There is a great diversity in cell types. There are over 250 different cell types in the human body. And these cells differ in their size, shape, and subcellular components. We'll review these different cell types on the next slide. This figure illustrates the diversity in cells and highlights the different functional category of body cells. In figure A here, we see cells that connect body parts, form linings, and transport gases. For example, fibroblasts, erythrocytes or red blood cells, and epithelial cells. Figure B highlights cells that move body parts or organs. Examples include skeletal muscles and smooth muscles. Figure C shows cells that store nutrients. Examples are fat cells or adipocytes. Figure D shows cells that are involved in immune responses and fighting off invasion by pathogens, for example, macrophages. And figure E shows cells that are involved in information gathering, processing, and controlling of body functions like neurons and nerve cells. And finally, figure F shows cells that are involved in reproduction, for example, sperm. Although cells have different sizes, shapes, and functions, all cells have some common structures and functions. Human cells have three basic parts. The first part is the plasma membrane, the second is the cytoplasm, and the third part is the nucleus. We are going to review each of these parts as we go through this lecture. But very quickly, the plasma membrane is a flexible outer boundary and regulates entry and exit of material into and out of the cell. The cytoplasm is the intracellular fluid and contains the organelles. The nucleus is the control center of the cell. It contains the DNA that regulates cellular activities. This figure depicts the structure of a generalized cell. The cell is depicted as roughly oval in shape, with a plasma membrane enclosing the entire cell. As you can notice, the top of the cell is cut off to expose the interior of the cell. Within the cell are organelles. Organelles are specialized structures within the cell that perform specific function for that cell. The organelles include the nucleus, cytoplasm, lysosomes, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi, and many other organelles. We will review each organelle as we go through this lecture. Now let's talk about extracellular materials. Extracellular materials are substances found outside cells and include extracellular fluids, cellular secretions, and extracellular matrix. Examples of extracellular fluids are interstitial fluids, or the fluid that cells are submerged in, blood plasma, or the fluid of the blood. So blood is made of two components, a liquid component called plasma and a solid component called the blood cells. Another example of extracellular fluid is the cerebrospinal fluid. The cerebrospinal fluid surrounds the central nervous system, that is, the brain and the spinal cord. Examples of cellular secretions include saliva, mucus, and gastric fluids. Extracellular matrix are substances that act as glue to hold cells together.